Let's talk a little bit about our pineapple fried rice mise en place. For this recipe, we're going to need a number of ingredients. Let's just step through those. One of the things that you're going to need is some yellow curry powder. And I just love curry powder. It smells so delicious. It adds so much warmth to a dish. And I want to kind of step you through the yellow curry powder because it's not always a given when you go to the grocery store what exactly is yellow curry powder. Most of the curry powders that you'll find in the spice section at your grocery store are going to be a yellow curry powder unless it states something else on the label. This is the one that I'm using. This is an organic curry powder. You don't have to use organic. This is just the one that I tend to gravitate towards. No right or wrong way, just different ways. But this is what you kind of want to look for. So you can see that it is definitely a really deep earth tone of yellow. So that's what we're going to be using for this dish. So I've got my curry powder. I'm also going to be using some ground white pepper in this recipe. This is the white pepper that I'm using. White pepper is just a lot easier to cook with because it doesn't burn like a regular black pepper. As far as salt goes, I've got some salt in here. This is my salt. My choice of salt is a kosher salt by Diamond Crystal. It's a pure and natural, and it's not an iodized salt. So this is my preferred type. You can get this online. You can get this at a chef store. You can also get this sometimes at like a Whole Foods. So that's our salt. We're also going to need some granulated sugar. So I've got some granulated sugar here. Those are kind of our powders and our spices. Also going to need some golden raisins. This is optional. I love this in this dish, but it is definitely optional. I've also got some toasted cashews here. This is going to add a little bit of crunch and a little nuttiness to our dish. For cooking, you're going to want a neutral oil. You want an oil that's like a high heat oil. This particular oil that I'm going to be using is a peanut oil. You can also use a vegetable oil or soy oil. Let's talk a little bit about the sauce. The primary ingredient for our sauce is going to be some sort of soy sauce and fish sauce. This is the fish sauce that I use. There are certainly other fish sauces on the market, some of which are very expensive. I'm gonna defer to you and your kitchen in terms of like how much money you want to spend on a fish sauce, but this one will definitely work. As far as soy sauce goes, this is just your standard soy sauce. It's an all-purpose soy sauce. That's what I will be using. If you don't want to use this type of soy sauce, you could go with a liquid amino. This is still a soy protein based. It's an alternative to soy sauce. This is what you could use in the place of this type of soy sauce. Just keep in mind, this is still soy. If you have an aversion to soy, you could switch over to a coconut liquid amino. This is one of my favorites that I use a lot for stir fries, and it is soy free. So those are kind of your options. You've got your soy free, you have an alternative to this type of soy sauce, which is your liquid aminos, or you can just use regular soy sauce. We're also going to be using some cilantro. If you do not like cilantro, you could absolutely omit this from the recipe. This is something that's going to be added towards the end just to give it some color. This is a Thai fusion pineapple fried rice. That's why I'm using cilantro. I'm also going to be using a yellow onion, and you want this to be cut very small. You can see here, this is kind of the cut here for your prep. Green onions or scallions, this is what they look like. And we want those also cut finely. What I typically do with my green onions is I will slice them down the center here and then cut them up. Then that way you kind of start out with the smaller dice. And then also a Roma tomato. This is just going to be for a finishing touch and to add a little more color to this dish. You're also going to need eggs. You can use anywhere from 2 to 3 eggs. I'm going to use 3. I have a child in the house that absolutely loves eggs in their fried rice, so we tend to go a little heavier on the egg. Outside of that, we have the pineapple. So I've got a couple pineapples here just to kind of show you. These are golden pineapples or gold pineapples. This one you can kind of see there's a difference in the color. I like them to be a little bit more on the yellow or golden side. This isn't quite ripe yet, but it does have some nice greenery on it. This one is nice and fragrant. It's going to be sweet, and it's already kind of got that golden look. I know that this is nice and ripe. The greenery on top isn't as pretty as this one, but that's okay. I would recommend that when you go to make this dish, that you buy your pineapple like 3 days before you're going to use it. But don't go much more than that, because then it will start to look pretty ratty. Any leftover pineapple that you have from this recipe, you can use to, make whatever you'd like with it. I'm going to use it to make pineapple coconut sorbet, and I will be sure to include that recipe on the class page. This is a jasmine rice, which I prefer to use for our pineapple fried rice, and that's what we're going to use to make our fried rice. Talk a little bit about the equipment that we're going to need for our pineapple fried rice. So here I have a wok. This is a carbon steel wok. I did just recently, this is actually brand new, I just purchased it because I needed to replace my regular wok. So this is my regular wok. This is a non-stick wok, and you can see it's become very pitted. It's just to the point where the non-stick has come off and I need to ditch it. If you don't have a wok, then you can use like a deeper type of saute pan. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna want something that is non-stick though, just because we are gonna be moving somewhat fast and we're not, doing sort of a professional class. So this is an at-home cooking class. Just something that is non-stick. Like I said, I just am replacing mine because I don't want these little bits of the non-stick in my food. It's time to retire this. I decided to go with a carbon steel wok because I really love Lodge pans, and so this is kind of a similar idea, whereas this wok is pre-seasoned and I will just hand wash it and rub a little bit of oil in it and it will be fabulous. We eat a lot of stir fries in our house. It's high time that I replace. You're gonna need some sort of tool to do your mixing in the pan. Outside of that, you're just gonna need a cutting board, some sharp knives. I've got a regular kind of a larger knife and then a smaller kind of paring knife here. I have a little whisk here for my egg, and then you're also gonna want some sort of cutting board. I've got a towel under my cutting board just to prevent it from sliding. So that's pretty much it for our equipment for the pineapple fried rice.